Welcome back to the Huddle. I'm here with head coach Dave Canales. Coach, we just saw that victory speech, what you're talking about, winning the game in the fourth quarter. Tell me about that locker room after the game.
We preach finish. We preach finish to our guys. Nonstop practice, whatever it is, it's a habit that we create. Everything we do, follow through the process all the way to the finish. And it couldn't have been a better moment, to finish offensively and defensively the way that we did.
All right, well, we're going to talk about that finish, but there were some great moments leading up to that throughout the entire game. So I want to take you to the second quarter. 3rd and 7, that pass to Jalen Coker really to get down, and ultimately Xavier Legette scores. Can you take us through that play with Coker?
Well, first of all, it started off with Bryce, recognizing it was a pressure look. It was something that, he kind of had in his toolbox for the week. We kind of changed it up. So for him to identify that quickly, get it orchestrated, and then the block and the effort, to take the ball down there and finishing with ball security, with guys running around trying to punch it out. So I love the execution in that moment.
And then that led to that touchdown. Bryce to Xavier Legette. I heard Bryce say, that's how you run a route to XL, which I absolutely loved hearing. Can you take us through that play?
Oh, it's just a play we've been working on for weeks, trying to get the rhythm and timing of it down. And it takes work, and it takes those practice reps, to hone it in and get it to perfection. Take one more, guys. Don't leave this field till you feel great about it. And I just love the confidence that Bryce threw it, the confidence with Xavier, hopping on Dollar Bill, the celebration, all the things. So it was great.
Are we going to get to see you hop on Dollar Bill at some point, one of his touchdowns?
I doubt it. I don't ride horses much.
Okay.
So.
You're too locked in. You're too in the zone. All right, you were talking about finishing. How about that Chuba Hubbard? The drive there and then the Chuba Hubbard touchdown to finish it in the fourth quarter.
Yeah, certainly the execution on the drive. Critical moments, timing and rhythm, all things that we've been working on, talking about on this show. Getting down there with enough time to give our run game another chance, to finish with that type of attitude. That's what we're looking for. That's the hope we're trying to build as guys. Let's get into situations where we can and will run the ball to finish the games.
All right, and then at the very end, 4th and 4, Mike Jack, as you call him, Mike Jackson, with that PBU to seal it for the Panthers. What did you see there?
Again, a finish moment. And the thing that we talk about with our players is the bigger the moment, the smaller the focus. Got to give a shout out to Richard Sherman. That's something that he shared with the group. When Pete asked him about it, he said, well, bigger the moment is, the smaller my focus goes. I focus on my first step, focus on where's my eyes at, my hand placement. It's the simplest things in those moments that'll calm you down, that'll allow you to be focused, to be able to execute and make the play that you can.
It's funny that you just said the bigger the moment. I actually want to ask you about some of the smaller moments. So I went through some of the plays that stood out to me, certainly to the fans. Were there smaller moments in that game that maybe we wouldn't recognize that you say, okay, that's us?
I think it's just the marriage for offensively. It's the marriage of the run and the pass game. And while we didn't have this big explosive day, we took advantage of some explosives because we were running the ball efficiently. When we tie everything together like that, it'll feel really normal. It'll feel like we have some sort of control, and again, the whole game wasn't that way, but we had these windows where we were able to move the ball and play that type. The same thing from a defensive standpoint. They rushed for a lot of yards again, but we minimized the explosive plays. So it's those critical wins, knocking the ball down at the end of game, getting those crucial rushes, because you talk about Mike Jack's play, but you can't have that play without an excellent pass rush for 3 drives straight to finish the game, to give the offense more opportunities to have one more shot to go down and win it. So a lot of those moments are really special to me.
I want to take you through some complimentary football, which all coaches, right, love to see. So the end of the first and start of the second quarter, we saw Johnny Hecker punted the ball down to the 8-yard line. Then the defense forces that 3 and out. Then I have to read it just because so many great things were happening here. And then the offense takes advantage. They get the short field and they score that touchdown to take the lead. How big is something like that as a coach?
That's Panthers football. That's where we want to head. That's the standard. And when we have these beautiful examples, and there have been a couple, every game there's been a couple, when we have these beautiful examples to show the guys this is how good we can be when we execute, when we're all on the same page, starting with the play calls coming in from Ajero and I, from Tracy, and then the getting out of the huddle on both sides with our cleats in the grass, ready to go, everybody's talking, and we execute our system. That's gold. That's what we're looking for.
We saw Bryce in this game take some more shots down the field. Was that something that was a focus in practice this week?
It has been, and again, that falls on me to find those moments and opportunities to take those shots. It also comes down to having opportunities. And, in Bryce's couple of starts, we were in Denver, and we had a really pretty bad day on third down, so we didn't have a lot of the opportunities. What I always like to say is, if you start trying to take shots early in a drive when the pass rush is fresh, you're putting your players at risk. And so it takes a little bit of football to find those windows, to see what the defense is doing on this day. How are they playing us? Is it single high? Is it too high? Collecting the information so that when you take those shots, they're deadly. And you strike them because there's an intentionality about getting those calls. So having more drives, the defense making some stops, allowed us to take more shots down the field.
So we were talking about those young receivers earlier. Of course, we can put JT Sanders in that mix of rookies who are really showing up and showing out. Damani Richardson on the defensive side. When you look at the rookies versus the vets, how do you at this point balance giving these rookies some big looks, some big chances, letting them show up and make a name for themselves, or potentially playing some vets that are more of a known commodity?
We want to make sure that everything's earned, and we love competition by nature. It elevates the whole room. It brings everybody's awareness, everybody's focus, all those things heighten when guys know, hey, the coaches are serious. They're going to play the best players. So for the young guys taking opportunities, whether it's because of injury or because of just rotation, it's really critical for those guys, and also for the veteran players to know too, we have to continue to drive the standard and use all the experience we have to continue to elevate our football.
Let's talk about Germany, right? 6 hours ahead. What I want to know, what always interests me, is what does that preparation look like? What is the coaching staff preaching, or what things are you implementing to the players to make sure that their bodies are ready?
It's sleep first and foremost. And trying to make sure that, we left later in the week so that we can ensure good night's sleep on the front end of the week. So we're accumulating rest, we're accumulating hydration. You get your Gatorade from the same fridge, you get the water from the same spot. You got your carry-on water that you take around the building. All those things matter early on in the week to create this buffer, if you will, because it's going to be hard on everybody anyway. Yeah. With the time change, the new environment and all that. Making sure that our game plan, most of it is done here in the confines and the comforts of our own offices. But once we get there, it's about having the wake-up calls in the morning at the right time. And it's about making sure you keep yourself awake long enough. Stay away from long naps. Keep yourself awake long enough so that you're going to sleep later in the day, so it feels a little bit more normal and you're able to kind of keep somewhat of consistency in your routines, even though it's going to be different.
Well, you mentioned competing with the Giants. I want to talk to you about some of those players. So Malik Neighbors having a great season. It feels like he's slowed down just a little bit in the last few games. What do you see on film from him, and what did the team have to be prepared for?
Explosive player. He's got great lower body strength. He can really drop into his routes, get out and transition quickly, run after catch. He's a bigger guy too, so he's got a little bit of power with how he, extends it. He attacks the ball. So he really kind of is the whole package, and it's again though, this is a team that's finding their identity. This is a team that's finding their rhythm and timing and concepts and all those things too. And so I think you see the ebb and flows just with the learning curve, which we're certainly familiar with, but a lot of talent. Darius Slayton, who's having a really good year as well, just making plays for them, and the speed that he brings. So it's a really fast group. Daniel Jones has been at the helm for a while, so it's an experienced group from that standpoint.
As defensively, we know that D-line is certainly imposing. Of course, Panthers fans have a lot of familiarity with Brian Burns. What do you see from them on film?
This is one of the best fronts in football. And without Thibodeau, he would add another element. But you have Ojulari, you got Burns, you got Dexter Lawrence inside, who's probably the best interior defensive lineman in football. And these are guys that also, to come with all the talent, they're nonstop, and you can see them kind of come to life in known past situations. They get into their stunts, they get into all their packages that way. So it's a great challenge for us in the run game, but also the pass game. It's going to be really important for us to stay on schedule, to play complementary football, to try to minimize the known past situations as much as possible.
Coach, we are really looking forward to that game in Germany. Thank you so much for the time.
Thanks for having me.